Hi, welcome back to my channel. Something different today. I had a message on What You Seek from DJ Ferros asking me if I could compare these two watches as he's thinking of buying one and he's not quite sure which. Now, these two watches are two big chunky dive watches. We have here the Seiko Tuna, the iconic Tuna. This variation is the SBBN 007, and on this side we have the Sinn UX, this variation being the GSG9. Now, dimensions. This is almost a 48mm watch versus a 44, but please do not let the 47.5mm of the Tuna put you off. As you can see, if I lay these down side by side, the Sinn looks bigger, and by way of comparison, here is a Rolex SD4K. Now, if I kind of pin down on them a bit, that's a 40mm watch next to a 48mm watch. Is there really that much difference? I don't think so. So anyway, let's get back to it. So we've gone about case size. Now let's talk about the thickness. The Sinn is slimmer at 13.3mm versus the 15.1 there. 15 again sounds tall, but that's only the same as the Rolex you just seen. Lug to lug, so furthest points away from each watch. This one is 50, this one is a tiny 44.4. That's one of the reasons why it looks smaller. Now, both watches are powered by a battery. Now, this has an ETA Koch certificate movement, which is thermostable. What that means, even in the cold, it regulates itself. So Koch standard on a quartz watch means no more than plus or minus 10 seconds a year. And this has Seiko's own SC46 movement, which, even though it's not it's not a Koch rated movement, it actually performs within Koch standards, I find. And to be fair, both are serviceable, both 7 joule. The battery life on the Sinn is about 5 to 8 years. The battery life on the Seiko, I believe, is 3 to 5 years. Now, one of the things to bear in mind, people complain about the Sinn, saying you have to send it back off to Germany to get it serviced, as this watch is full of oil and nowhere else can actually do that for you. And yes, this is true, but the turnaround is only 3 weeks, and it costs, including shipping, €275, about £250. Sinn even send you out a label to put on a box, put this in, send it to them and get it back. No problem at all, fully insured. For Seiko, depending on how you look at it, good and bad. The battery, I replaced myself. I undid this. I replaced the battery. Not everyone will feel confident in doing that. I also brought a new seal and sealed it up. But that doesn't mean it is still water resistant to its 300-meter rating. Because how do I know that the crown stem seals are still good, or the gasket for the crystal? I don't. Now, you can send it off to a watchmaker. He will do this for you and probably charge you about just over £100 to do this and pressure test it. You might get a year's guarantee. I get 2 with Sinn when it comes back, and a nice new travel box. If you send it to Seiko, who will probably do all this work for you, I dare say it will cost the same price as the Sinn. So you can do it on the cheap, but if you are actually a professional diver, you want to make sure that water resistant rating is still up to scratch. I would send it to Seiko. Now, next, finish of the watch. Obviously, the Tuna gets its iconic name from the Tuna can which goes around it. This one happens to be bead blasted. If you knock this, you can replace it, though be aware, incredibly hard to get hold of one of these. You do have polishing on the parts of the bezel there. Now, the bracelet, as I say, isn't actually factory, so I can't actually quote on that. I'm not going to mention the bracelet. Where the Sinn is a bead blasted finished. It is made of German submarine steel, so it's slightly more corrosive free, a little bit harder, I believe, than standard steel on that. The only downside is that if you do mark this, it's hard to get out with, but if you do have access to a bead blaster, easy. But not everyone does, to be fair. Now you can order this watch in teglemented steel, which makes it incredibly hard. But that does come at a cost, and that cost is about €300 more. Now, this is where we come to cost. This watch is available worldwide, and it costs approximately €2,000 or £2,000. Remember, 300 more if you want to get it fully teglemented. Now, the bezel is teglemented, though it comes standard. This watch is a Japanese domestic market only. You can get European variations, but they are expensive, and by expensive I mean 3,000 to 4,000. This, if you get one which is similar to this from Japan, you're talking around about £1,000 new, because you have to pay import tax and so on, VAT on the watch. So about £1,000, maybe a fraction more new, and second-hand retail value on eBay, I just looked this morning, you're talking to actually buy one of these about £550, £600, and that price has stayed the same for many years. This one, I looked on eBay this morning, and you're talking the cheapest one was over £1,300. So they both lose money. This one perhaps loses a fraction less. And one thing I would say, I've had this watch for 10 years, and when I first brought it, I think these were used about £700. So they do seem to actually go up in value a little bit. So again, horses for courses. Dial wise, this one has a very clean dial, very precise, easy to read. The crystal is sapphire, anti-reflective coating, very clear, concise. The Seiko, the dial is smaller, easy to read. The hands are very big and do obscure some of the dial, but they are what they are. They still look cool. The crystal, I say, is Seiko's proprietary hard lux, which is their hardened mineral crystal, and it is domed. And it gives this funky kind of distorted view. But again, it is distorted, so it's kind of, you do get a lot of reflection, as you can see the camera and myself in the background there. So it's not quite as clear. You can put sapphire crystals in there, but again, this is all adding cost to the watch. Remember, this bracelet isn't standard on the watch. This one would have only come with rubber, so add another £120 or so for this. So you can put aftermarket ones on there, but it's, again, it all depends what you like. The one thing where the Seiko absolutely annihilates the Sinn on is its lume. Seiko's lume is legendary. It is like a torch, and it is fantastic at any price point. This will match any of the Rolexes for lume. Now, bezel. The Seiko bezel is very good. Can't fault the bezel. It's 120 click. It sounds lovely, but it is incredibly hard to activate, to actually move. But it is solid and decent. The Sinn, 60 click, but a real satisfying click. And this also has a retention system with screws holding the bezel down, so you can't accidentally knock it like you can with, say, my Rolex, which if you knock it, it will come off. The Seiko stops this by simply having the shroud which protects it from being knocked off. So again, it depends on what you like. The actually wearing it on the wrist, remember my wrist size is just over 7 inches. It doesn't look bad at all. The only thing I would say is because the lugs are smaller, it puts all the weight on a smaller point and it feels a bit more top heavy. If I put the Sinn on, it does look a larger watch. So, and it does, because the lugs come further around, it actually levels out the weight better. So it's strange because the watch head is heavy. If I put them on side by side on my wrist, let me just open this up. Gently pass. There we go. You get the idea. I'll say, there you go. Let me take this off, I don't want to mark it. So they are two iconic divers. Now, one thing I would say, the Sinn, you can order it with their nice rubber straps, which integrate into the watch, have the Sinn logo on, and have some nice diploint clasp on there. The standard diploint clasp clasp you get with a bracelet is a bit old school, not particularly fantastic, but I've said that on many videos before, I'm not a big fan. The Seiko normally comes on a rubber. You can buy bracelet variation models, but I would possibly say if you were to put a leather strap on these, the leather strap sometimes looks better on the Tuna, as you won't see where it joins into the case. So it really is up to you which one you like more. Please let me know in the comments below, which would you go for? If price wasn't an issue, because obviously this is double the price of that Tuna, but there again, some Tunas cost more than this UX, so it depends on, I say, price isn't exactly everything. If the price was no object, which one would you choose? Let me know in the comments below. All the best. Bye.